So yeah, how's been the poker since last time we talked?
Pretty good. Feeling pretty burnt out after playing the last 4 days, and not really winning. Been basically break even over those days, but I think I've actually lost a little bit. But I do feel like I'm a lot more. A lot of my decisions are a lot faster in game, and I haven't been timing out, and I feel like I've been playing pretty well, putting together a lot of runs. Um, So definitely seeing an improvement, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely good to break even with like a lot of deep runs and FTs and final two tables and shit.
Yeah, yeah,
It's definitely a pretty big difference than I feel than like just min cashing a bunch and breaking even.
yeah. True.
Which
Very
was
true.
my Sunday, which wasn't very fun.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, just had like five, six min caches or something. It's pretty.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's that's better than bricks, but it's annoying to just constantly min cash.
Yeah, I feel like I'm playing better on WPN now, but I'm also just playing softer stuff. Um,
Yeah. Are you playing like the 30s and stuff? Or
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, just playing softer stuff on WPN definitely helps.
for
So
sure.
yeah, I have a question of what you want to work on.
Okay.
So we have multiple options. So option one, which is like what we expected to do, is like 10 to 20 big blind play or 12 to 20, but we can do that in range construction form, or we can do that like going through hand history, like your recent hand histories where you had 12 to 20 bigs on a deep run, which I think is more interesting and would break up like the whole constant range construction shit and make it more concrete.
Mhm.
Um, so those are the options if you want to do 12 to 20 big blind play. And option number two, just a bit of a tangent, we could just focus on constructing like preparation and focus for sessions, talk about shit like that, and set up like a good prep routine and how do you like utilize your 5 minute breaks and stuff, which I think is pretty important, but I have a feeling you might be pretty good at already, so
Yeah, I've actually put a lot of work into that stuff, prepping and using breaks and stuff like that. Which honestly, I very rarely have a 5 minute break until the very end of my session because I'm playing Bovada and there's no sync breaks. Um,
that's a problem. Not being able to have those sync breaks really sucks, in my opinion.
yeah, it does. It really does suck, but it's not worth having. I don't think it's worth like passing up Bovada to have them, but it's definitely sucks. Like for a little while, I was playing just ACR, and it was really nice to have a little break every hour. Um,
Uh,
it's definitely a big difference.
on
But
Sunday, I just had 1 to 2 tables of Bovada, so like all my WPN bro- breaks at the same time, so I was able to. I still sort of took the 5 minute break and just missed out on like one or two Bovada hands because I'd come back in and check on it if like I got something, got dealt something.
yeah, that's what I always try to do too. Like I'll have 3 and 3 or 2 and 4 on ACR and Bovada. So when it's the ACR sync break, I have like a little bit of a break. Sometimes I'll miss one or two hands. Sometimes I'll not miss them, but I'll just kind of like keep looking in at my computer and seeing if I have a hand. So it's not really a break because I'm still thinking about hands and trying to see if I have hands and not miss them. But I get up and like go to the bathroom and grab food and stuff usually when ACR is on break. But
Yeah, you don't. And the ACR breaks aren't real 5 minute breaks either. They're like 3 to 4
no,
minute breaks.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So yeah, we don't get to utilize breaks, I guess.
yeah. But as far as the 12 to 20 big blind stuff, I think going through a hand history would be good.
Yeah, I think a hand history with like a 12 to 20 big blind filter of like a specific tournament, I think would be good.
Okay. Let me pull one up. Let's see. trying to think of when I had a deep run lately. I've had several, but maybe if I could find the deepest of the deep runs.
Yeah. So yeah, I like to do range construction stuff, but I think it's good to do like concrete overall stuff too. So
Yeah,
I think it's good to mix it up between the two.
sure.
For sure.
Okay, I'm just trying to find a run that would have some hands to look at.
I mean, you don't have to be too picky because like we could do multiple tournaments if there's only a small sample there, you know.
Okay, I'll just pick one and go from there. Okay, let me get my screen up for you. Okay. 12 to 20.
Oh, nice. Quick filter. Do the math.
Yeah, and then I'll just pick one, I guess.
Most recent is better.
Yeah, these are all from the last like 3 days. So,
Cool.
but it's hard. It's hard to really tell where I will have one that's a deep run. I just look at like how long I played it. I guess that would work.
Yeah, for sure.
3 hands at 12 to 20 in this tournament.
It says show marked hands only. Looks like you have that.
Good call. Yeah.
Still 3 hands somehow.
There we go.
Oh, there's a tag on it too. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Let me switch this around so that they're in the right order. I have no idea what tournament this is, but
All right, let's fast forward to more like 350, 700, where you're actually out of late reg. Unless you're opposed to that.
no, it's fine with me. Oh wait, what was the shortcut to go to the next hand with the arrows? Control arrow.
Shift right arrow to go to VPIP. Yeah, just mash that button as loud as you can for the viewers.
Right. Oh, there we are.
Cool, let's do it.
Okay. This is just a pretty clear fold. Or wait, he has, yeah.
How do you open this queen four if it folds around?
I think sometimes I do, sometimes I fold it. Here, I would probably just fold it, I think.
Yeah. And what is that 58 is fold the steal?
58 is fold big blind steal overall from, yeah.
Do you have the pop-up call 2-bet in the big blind? You don't have that one?
I don't think so. No.
No, you don't. He never 3-bets the big blind, though. Which is pretty nice for you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I just like snap steal versus a guy that tight and a guy who's never 3-betting.
Mm-hmm. With this exact hand, you mean? With queen four? You mean?
I do like a fist pump steal, the queen four.
Okay.
Do a dance.
Okay. What would your sizing be?
Like 17.75 and 27 cents.
Okay. Fair enough.
So yeah, I think I'd steal here. Like we've done the math on it before. Like he just has to defend super wide, and he's gonna let you run your equity every time and not shove.
Yeah, that's true. It's a really good point. Probably a good guy to steal very wide against.
Yeah, so he'd have to defend like, if he's never 3-betting, he'd have to defend like 60-70%. Probably have to defend like 70-80% for this queen 4 off to not be good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he does.
So,
Anyways, go ahead.
so probably any queen deuce would be a good steal too.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue like pretty wide here.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably argue any two, really.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go any two, just because this deal's kind of low. But yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fair. Oh, is the arrow just next action? It's not next hand?
Yeah, you gotta do like control right arrow for next time.
There we go. Okay. I think this is actually kind of interesting to talk about if Munson hadn't reshoved.
Yeah.
If UTG shoves and it just folds to us.
I usually fold, but people shove too wide here. Is what I'm gonna guess you're gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, but it really is very dependent on the structure of the tournament and if we're near a money bubble. I noticed on ACR people tend to be very concerned with min cashing. So like if this is one or two or three players from a min cash or something like that, I think this guy's actually could be likely to shove a bit tighter.
Yeah, I think you're pretty close to the money because I think you just got out of late reg at 350, 700.
Yeah, true.
That usually means pretty close to the money in my experience at WPN.
Well, I think it's close, but it's far enough away so that you're not really like on a bubble. So it's generally going to be at least like 10 or so more eliminations or more before the money.
Yeah, for sure. I think this hand changes if the blinds are 250, 500, and he has the same stack size, same amount of bigs.
Yeah, I would be much more likely to reshove.
Yeah.
Pre late reg.
Yeah, but I think it's a fold here.
Yeah, I would agree. I think folded to if this guy didn't reshove and it was folded to me, I think I would be pretty happily reshoving ace eight here though.
Yeah, look, people do the math wrong. So they do it because they're going to be on the big blind next hand, and they don't want to be the big.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth that much money to just shove here. Like, you're. I mean, yes, you're going to be on the big blind, but it's only worth like. I think you're saving like. I ran the math. This thing is just like you save like. You can shove like hands that are like break even or negative 1/10 of a big blind or something like that, or negative 2/10 of a big blind here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think it's that like you could go that crazy like people do. It's like people shove like 10-8 offsuit here and shit.
Yeah. For
Anyways,
sure.
go ahead.
Okay. I just did shift arrow, so this is going to be one that we V-pip. Maybe I shouldn't do that because there's.
Yeah, don't do that.
All right. So I just shove here.
Is that a? I like to just I like to ask simple questions in spots like this. Like, is this a Nash shove? Like, how much
Yeah.
does the spot change if that guy has 9K chips?
It changes a pretty big amount, I think, but I still think my guess would be that it's still a Nash shove, even if you had 9K. But I don't know that for sure. It's just a guess.
Do you think it's a Nash shove? He has 9K? I think you're wrong. Can we run this?
Oh, okay. So Nash shove, yes, it's probably not. It's probably not a Nash shove, but if we were to go in and run this and then adjust his ranges to
What they actually should be? Yeah.
what he's actually calling with, then I think it is a pretty clear shove, even if he has 9K.
Okay. Do you think it's a Nash shove when he has 3,700?
I don't think so.
Can we run it quickly, or does it take like 5 minutes to run this?
No, it'll take like the longest time is for me to type in the stack sizes, and then it'll just run right.
Okay. And you only have to type in like those three.
Well, I have to type something in for the other ones, but
Yeah. Hold on. Just mute for a second.
Okay. It's running right now. It'll be like 2 seconds before it's finished. We need a drum roll sound effect. That'll work.
It's my uncoordinated attempt at a drum roll.
So King 3 off is not a Nash shove. It's minus EV in this situation. Looking at Nash, slightly minus EV, but I mean,
small blind's not calling that wide, basically.
Yeah, neither of them are calling as wide as this suggests.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know.
King 5 off and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go through taking all that out and looking at it if you want.
No, that's fine. Okay. How much do you think that our range changes if we change this to 9-handed versus 7-handed? Can we change that quickly, or does that take a long time?
It takes a minute. How would I do that?
Just add like 2 players.
Yeah. Yeah. Shit. I always do this. Now I have to go back in the right order.
Okay. So before it was 45% or 41% were shoving, right?
41.6 was our shoving range.
Okay.
7-handed.
And what do you think about, like, are we in the money here or out of the money?
It's hard to say because I really don't know what tournament this is. If it's like a turbo, then we might be pretty close to the money if it's like the $22 turbo. But if it's $30 3K non-turbo, then we're still a little bit away for the $30 10K. I just really don't know. It doesn't, in Poker Tracker, it doesn't store the information about what tournament it was.
Okay, so it just goes up a small percentage, like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So here's the question, like, what do you think it's more EV to just min raise, fold to big blind shove, and call off the small blind here?
I don't know. I really don't. We can run that and look at it, but the problem with that,
the EV of shoving here has to be like pretty tiny. It's like bottom of your range, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you're effectively shoving versus small.
I don't understand that.
Oh, I mean, this versus small blind, a min raise and a shove is like the same thing, right?
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the problem with that is I think that really gives big blind a pretty good spot to A, flat if small blind folds, and B, squeeze. Sort of. It's like if we min raise, small blind shoves, now big blind can shove and have some fold equity on us. Which are not good things for us. But
how can we tell like what's higher EV, like shoving or raising here?
We can just run it and hold the resources. I mean, I would do it.
Okay.
And I can actually do that pretty quickly if you want me to.
Yeah, sure. Because I think it's important here. If like the thing is, if raising has the same EV as shoving here, you're making a lot of money by just raising.
Yeah, I see.
Because your bust probability goes way down, because he's calling you like 30% of the time. So your bust probability will go from like 20-something% to 0. Like close to the money or like in the money in a tournament.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, so this is this trick I've found about this software, and it's going to get run quite a bit faster. Basically, when you do an advanced hand where you do raise folds as well as shoves, you can auto set it so all these players basically just always fold and don't matter. So there's only 3 players in the calculation, basically.
Okay, cool.
For some reason, it's still being pretty slow. But
And what kind of shoving range does it give the big blind?
I don't know until it finishes.
Yeah. It would be bad if it just gave it like any 2 or something.
Yeah, I mean, we can adjust it, but God, I don't know why it's going so slow.
Do you think we should have like a raising range here with 12 bigs and this guy being short?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think it makes sense just because I think we can get so much more out of the top of our range by raise calling it than we can by shoving. That it makes sense to have a raising range to capitalize on that. Like
Yeah.
raise calling aces, we're gonna make a lot more than open shoving aces.
Yeah, for sure. I would guess that we would, right?
Yeah.
So we'd raise like the top, and what hands are candidates for raise folds here?
That's where I kind of get to a point where I start struggling is choosing which hands are good raise folds, and the reason is like when I've tried to run this in Hold'em resources, I get such weird results for a raising range. Like it'll say like so a spot like I've done recently is blind versus blind 12 bigs, which is kind of like this spot. But anyway, so I set it up blind versus blind 12 bigs, my raise folding and raise calling range, and I set up a range that villain is gonna shove with and all that when I make it like 2.3x or whatever. And it tells me that I should be raise calling like 5s plus, ace 8 suited plus, ace 9 off plus, or whatever, and then raise folding like 9 deuce through 9 5 off, and 8 deuce through ace 4 8 4 off, and just the very bottom of the range. Just like the worst 6 hands or whatever in my range are raise folds, and then raise call at the top. And then basically it says to just open shove everything else and never, you're basically you're raising or shoving 100% of hands. There's no open folds, which is interesting.
Okay, so this returned a result, right?
Yeah, so the problem is we have to now, I mean, it tells us we should only shove and we should never raise call.
Okay.
But that it does that all the time, and basically what I would do for the next step is just to go in here and set up the ranges for how these guys are going to react to my raise.
Okay. So I have a better question. So we decided we want a raising range, right? And that's So like, what hands? So a difficult question is what hands logically make sense to throw in our raising range, right? That's a pretty difficult one. So the trick is to kind of flip the question. So we ask what hands make sense to have in our raising range. How can you flip that question?
What hands don't make sense to have in there?
Yeah. What hands do you definitely not want to raise fold?
What hands I definitely don't want to raise fold? Pretty much all decent suited hands. So any 10 or better suited. Any decent suited connectors. So all suited cards except for like 9 deuce through 9 4, 8 deuce through 8 5, 7 deuce through 7 3 suited, 6 deuce 6 3 suited, 5 deuce suited. So almost all suited cards I don't really want to raise fold.
All right. So the next question you ask when you do that, so you flip the question, then you ask why, and that will like show like an underlying principle. Why don't you want to show those hands? Raise fold those hands.
Because I know I'm quite sure that all those hands are profitable as a shove, Um, and well, I guess that doesn't mean they're not profitable as a raise fold, but I just know I can open shove those and make a decent profit. So I would rather do that.
So that's the principle right there. Like you don't want to shove a hand that like shows a decent profit right off the bat, right? Does that make sense?
No, I do want to shove a hand
I
that
mean,
makes
you
a
don't want to raise fold a hand that's going to make a guaranteed good profit shoving.
right. Yes, correct.
That's the principle. So now with that principle, you can take off every single hand that's a good shove and take it away as a candidate for raising. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah, and that's like exactly what I said before about how Hold'em Resources gave me the solution of raise folding, like the nine deuce off, the nine four off, that kind of stuff. That kind of goes into that because all of those are the very worst hands that I can open shove,
Yeah,
and they
exactly. Like that doesn't seem like a weird result for me at all when you're playing at ATC, anyways.
yeah. If at 12 bigs, I guess it's not really weird. It's when you get to 15 or 20 that it becomes because you actually have to think about post flop more because people can flat when you're planning to raise fold.
Yeah. So
People can flat a lot more.
we need hands that aren't great shoves and hands that play decent post flop, right?
In this situation, I don't think so. I don't think we need hands that play decent post flop as much. Um,
Hmm. Okay. So what hands do you think are the best candidates here for raise folding?
I think the bottom, like I said, like the nine deuce, nine three, nine four off,
Hmm.
uh, eight deuce off, seven deuce off, just the worst hands.
Are you are you folding any better hands than those? Like open folding any better hands than those? Like here's the
Uh,
question: like can you raise a better hand than that? That's are there any hands that you're just folding that can show more profit for those?
in this spot, I mean, it's hard to say without knowing the bubble dynamic and stuff. Like if we're on a money bubble, if we are close to a bubble, then no, I don't think I am really folding anything that I could turn into a raise fold. Um, in general, here, I actually don't really think I have any hands that I'm folding that I could instead raise fold. Like the only ones that really come to mind are, like I said, like the seven deuce, the seven three, eight deuce offsuits, which yes, we could raise fold
All right.
and shit.
So this hand is so. I guess my question's a bit abstract. It's like we're looking at all the hands in our range, right? And it makes it
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
tricky. So our method of simplifying, if you're looking at like a lot of hands, like just simplify, go one hand at a time. Like King Deuce, is that a hand we'd rather like? Is that a hand you'd rather you're just shoving, or do you think that
yeah,
works better as a raise fold?
yeah. I would just shove.
What about Queen Seven, Queen Six offsuit?
Um, I think those are kind of on the line where they would be reasonable raise folds, but I also am pretty happy shoving them as well. Um, but yeah, like I would be pretty happy shoving those. Yeah.
Okay. Queen four, queen three, queen deuce.
Same. Queen deuce gets really close to a point where it might maybe could be better as a raise fold. Um, but I also like it's. I would definitely rather raise fold that than open fold it.
Yeah. So
Um,
your queen deuce plays better as a steal than your nine deuce, like slightly better, right? Because it has the blocker, and flopping a queen at 12 bigs is way better than flopping a nine with like SPR of two, right?
yeah, yeah. It does, but it also plays a lot better as an open shove than nine deuce does.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna fold it, I don't know if
Right.
you shove
Yeah.
queen deuce. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know what is like the best hands that you're folding. I guess is a question.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So what is the best hand that you're folding
The best hand.
that you're not jamming?
The best hand I'm folding here is probably something like queen deuce off or 10-6 off, um, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the hands you want to raise fold. Like, look at the best hands you're folding or the very bottom of your shoving range. And those are the ones you should be raise folding.
But the thing that concerns me with that, and that makes perfect sense to me, but like if I start saying, okay, 10-6 off or 10-5 off or whatever, that's the bottom of my open folding range, it then starts to look like I'm probably raise folding way too wide of a range. If I'm raise folded, like if we look at all these hands here, let me just do it this way, it'd be easier.
Yeah,
Like,
let's construct like a good, like what is, like how many bluffs, like how much bluffs can we have?
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm worried about because, like, if I'm
No,
raise folding,
you can't have all those. That's like way too much
right?
already.
Exactly. That's the problem. So, like, I don't. So, like, I think I should just be dumping all this stuff instead and only raise folding this bottom stuff like this.
Uh,
Um,
there's that way you could do it, but there's also like another way you can do it too.
okay.
So you could take like just like there's a bunch of hands that are like the very best hands that you're folding. So like
Here,
once
let
you,
me just.
yeah, so those aren't all the best. Like six deuce off is not the best hand, like one of the best hands you're folding. 6-3 off is not one of the best hands you're folding. Like
These are like just all the hands.
garbage. Yeah, like take off all the garbage. Like I just want like the top best hands that you're folding.
Okay. Yeah. What I was basically trying to do here is just highlight every hand that I think I might that I could see myself open folding in a spot like this.
Yeah. You also have suited hands that you're folding too, right?
I don't. I don't think so. I
You
guess.
shove deuce three suited here and stuff.
I mean, I guess maybe something like this, but um, or like this. I've been trying to. Yeah, I've been trying to put like in spots like this, put like basically every suited hand in my non-folding range. um, but
I don't know if that's a good shove. Like, how tight do they need to be for you to just shove like
well,
queen deuce off?
maybe it's a limp though. Like maybe deuce three suited is a limp or a raise fold. Um, I just am trying not to. I'm trying not to fold as often, basically.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
let's not even get into limpings. The spot's like complex
yeah,
enough.
sure, yeah,
Let's not add to complexity when
yeah,
it's already pretty complex.
yeah.
Um, so so we're stuck with not knowing what hands to raise fold, and you want to raise fold the bottom, but the problem is there's like those are all like really crappy. So like if you just pick like yeah like your best hands, your best folding hands, and raise folded those like
Yeah, something like that.
yeah look at what your value range is like what percentage your value range look like.
Um, how do you want me to actually just start highlighting stuff, or
Yeah, what are you raise calling? Yeah,
raise calling?
yeah.
See, sixes plus or fives plus, or sixes here, and then something like this. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like even some of these too.
Okay. So it's like 10%.
Yeah.
So what if you were to do like, so plug in like a range and see what big blind can shove versus it. So put some like raise folds, put some like your best raise folds in this range.
Okay. You want me to actually do that and then run it?
Yeah.
Okay, so to do that, I need to put this in the right place, which would be here, I think. Uh, and I did this actually this morning, similar to this, but blind versus blind.
hmm
I just thought 12 bigs effective. And so I have some idea what this is going to come out to, but
Not ace nine off, and I think you had sixes in there.
it's
And
and then
queen, queen, king, jack suited you had in there.
yeah, I took king jack suited off though. I really don't think I think I would just shove that.
Sounds good to me.
And this, I kind of want to wait a little bit, but
Okay. And now pick some raise folds here. So what if you went? So to make this like more tangible, instead of picking random bluffs, like what if say like what if you went half bluffs, half value here? So 10% raise calling 10 and then raise folding 10. Like let's see what happens. And pick like your
Okay.
best 10.
Best 10 that I would rather do a raise fold instead of open fold.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess some of these like we talked about.
What do you think he's going to be able to shove if you're raise folding half the time?
I think that he'll be able to shove pretty wide actually. It seems like if we're raise folding half the time, that's quite a bit.
Hmm.
That's like seems like a lot.
What's your definition of pretty wide? 50%, 40%, 60%?
40%? Yeah, 40.
All right, I'm going to say 100. Let's run it.
Okay. I'm not going to disagree with that. Oh, we have to set up our fold too, though.
So you have to put your call shove range, right?
Yeah. We need to take away all this crap that we're folding.
Slide faster. Got it.
And then we have to do the same thing versus big blind shove. Yeah, they already did it for us. Okay,
Cool. That's nice though.
I think I think small blinds should definitely be able to step anything when we do this.
I'd be curious because you're actually calling everything versus small blind. Um,
That's true. But I didn't put that in the sim, so it's going to be messed up. But
that's an important part for like your raise folding range, like your raising range too. Like having queen deuce instead of three deuce off when small blind jams is a pretty big deal.
yeah, I didn't think about that until you said that. That's actually really important here. Yeah, that actually makes me want to have the stronger raise folds because we'll just call anything versus small blind. We want to have some better equity.
Yeah, small blind could jam any too if you're folding at the time to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, so what can big blind rip versus you?
44%.
I'm the worst. Why did I think it was any two?
I
Okay.
don't know.
I'm terrible. So you're pretty accurate. So yeah, he can rip like 45%, but it's like a lot of these hands are super marginal and they'd play better as flats, right?
Yeah, yeah. He's going to be flatting in a lot of these, I would think.
Yeah. So what do you think of your range?
Although it's interesting that Hold'em Resources says that big blind should never flat us.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Interesting. What do I? You asked me what do I think my range should be?
Do you think this is a good raising range? Like you could shove 45%? Well, probably less because a lot of these hands play better as flats.
Yeah, I actually do. Actually, seems like it's pretty reasonable. Which I'm surprised. I thought it would be. I thought it would be raise folding a little too much.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like they are.
Yeah, he could probably jam like 40% or something like that. So it doesn't work out too terribly for you.
It's interesting when I ran this before, the way that I did it, it gave me a solution. I did it the other way to solve for my raise folding range instead of solving for what Dylan can do against us. And it actually gave me a much narrower raise folding range. Like I'm raise folding like a third of the time instead of half the time.
I don't know. So yeah, it seems like pretty good range here.
Yeah.
And then you just jam the rest. So yeah, what were like the important principles we've highlighted here? And a lot of like when you study on your own, a lot of our sessions are all going to be about principles rather than playing a specific hand. And what I mean by principles is like things that help you understand other spots better. Like I want you to like principles help you in all different hands. You know, like it deepens
Sure.
your understanding for the game rather than a spot. So what principles can we take away from this?
Well, the thing about turning the top of my folding range into raised folds is pretty interesting and probably applies to a lot of different situations.
Hmm.
The other thing is that whenever there is this sort of dynamic where we have one really short stack and one sort of 10 big blind stack,
Hmm.
I think that makes it a lot more important to have a bit of a stronger raised folding range since you're raised calling 100% versus him.
Yep.
Like I never want to have a range where I'm raised folding 7 deuce versus small blind. So the fact that there's this sort of dynamic stack size dynamic here in this spot, I think we should lean towards having a bit of a stronger raising range. So we're always calling him.
Yeah, sounds good. And I think another thing is how often we race, like constructing our race folding range, like how often we're folding to big blind rips. Like understanding for race folding, half the time, big blind can jam about 40 something percent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, like understanding that for like range construction is really important.
And the other thing is with that is I think we can kind of one thing I'd really like to get better at is kind of on the fly, like having more of an exploitative base folding strategy where if I'm playing with a player in a big blind who's just not going to shove anywhere near this, which is pretty common, I think that it makes sense to have a bigger raising range and a smaller shoving range.
I definitely think that makes sense. I personally think like my strategy is I raise fold the bottom of my shoving range too, like the bottom 5% as well.
Mm-hmm.
Reason I do that is it strengthens my shoving range because like I'm not shoving the top. So if I shove a range that just includes all the super thin shoves and none of the top, my shoving range becomes really weak, and they profit a lot with a lot of their calling hands.
Mm-hmm.
So if I take off the top and the bottom of my shoving range, it balances out my shoving range. Whereas like in this spot, your shoving range is super weak. And plus,
Yeah,
I think those hands play pretty good at race calls and might show just as much profit raising. Anyways,
sure, yeah.
I think that's a good principle. The bottom 5% of your shoving, I think, should go into your race fold range a lot.
Okay, interesting.
Um, you don't have to agree with that. I'm just telling you like how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes sense. It's kind of the same concept as the top of your folding range. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but I guess
It makes it more simpler. Like I'm raising the top and the bottom, shoving like everything in the middle.
okay. Yeah,
It's very intuitive.
sure.
Yeah, it lowers your variance too. Like huge EV difference between uh, huge EV difference even if like the chip EV is the same between like raising and shoving here, especially at like especially if you're not in the money here. It's a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah. That's something that I'm gonna think about a lot more
Yeah,
for sure.
like if you're not in the money, like chip EV is like pretty irrelevant here. If you're like 10, 20 away from the money, like
Yeah,
busting's a pretty big deal.
yeah. And I really like that idea of just like raise folding my very worst shoves.
Conversely, though, if you just made the money, the game becomes very, very chip EV. Like, imagine like on a graph where it's like the higher it goes, the more important ICM is, and like the lower it goes, the more important chip EV is. Like, it goes like imagine it just steadily climbs as we get like closer and closer to like the money bubble. Like, just imagine like a straight line going up, or perhaps like a bell curve going up. And then as soon as we make the money, it just drops straight down, like a straight fall off a cliff type of drop.
And we're just in chip EV world.
Yeah. because the difference between 80th and 20th is like nothing.
Yeah, especially on Bovada, it's like the same. It's basically $2 or something. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like I was playing a tournament yesterday where it was like 150 places paid,
Hmm.
and the difference between 150th and like 18th was pretty meaningless.
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
one buy-in or something, two
yeah,
buy-ins.
exactly. Yeah, so it's like either I almost think of it in stages of like you're not in the money yet, you're in the money, and then you're at the final table. Like the everything in between being in the money and being at the final table isn't that there isn't much of a difference. Like once you make that min cash, it's kind of you're kind of at the same level of GBV importance until you get to the final table.
I think 18 it starts to go up quite a bit. Like I think you would see that imagine like a red line, like it would just be super
Okay.
low going into like final 3, final 4, but then like starting to creep up at like 15, at like 18
Okay.
left.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the jumps get like a bit bigger. Like the jump from 18th to 15th is like a buy-in or something.
Well, in Bovada, most tournaments on Bovada, 18th through 10th are the same payout, and
Oh,
there's no jump until 9th.
okay,
But on ACR, there's almost always a jump at 15th and at 12th.
okay, yep.
Uh, so
That's a pretty big difference then. Yeah.
yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
Okay.
like ACR, I'm always mindful of like when we're at final table two tables, I'm always mindful of how many are left, and I always pay attention to those pay jumps because those do somewhat matter. But
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Good.
um, real quick, I just pulled this up. Look at this is 15. Let me go up. So this is 12 big blinds, blind versus blind, and when I set up a raise fold and I basically gave Philin ranges for flatting the raise and for reshoving versus the raise
Mm-hmm.
that I think are pretty likely for your kind of standard player. This is what Hold'em Resources gave me for raise folding and raise calling ranges, just to raise fold these very worst hands
Mm-hmm.
and just raise call all of the top and then just shove everything out.
And what did it say? Big blind can shove versus this.
I don't think I still have it. I might. Let me check. Yeah, I think I got rid of it.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense because all the other hands make a good profit shoving given the ranges you gave them.
Yeah, I think it was around 35-40% or something that big one could shove versus I raise. But I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, seems good to me.
Yeah, cool.
I think you should like what you should shove like really depends. Like in this king 3 spot, like I'm shoving sixes if we're not on the money, and like ace 8 suited and ace 10 off if we're not in the money. But if we're in the money, I think they're just raise calls. I think I'd rather just take the lower variance, basically.
Oh, yeah, since you get more folds. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you're raise calling, like your variance I think is much higher than if you're just ripping.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a lot more likely to like this ace 7 off stuff. I'm almost never like right now in reality in game. I'm almost never raise calling that. I guess blind versus blind. Yeah, I would. That that makes a little bit of sense. But in general, ace 7 through ace 9, I would be shoving way more often.
Alright, I will be right back. I have to pee.
Okay.
Back. So you just rip.
All right. Yeah. This is the next hand that
Yeah, if this guy's a reg, I don't imagine him stealing much here.
Well, the other thing is he's a 12-7. It's only 43 hands, but I still think I'm going to be more likely to get looked up here because of that. I'm more likely to be up against a pretty tight range when he opens here.
Yeah, I think this is a tough spot with a lot of pairs. Because, I mean, three re-steal stacks, 1-4 big blind stack. Big blind's not going to fold very often. It's
Yeah,
not a great steal spot.
for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, shove.
Shove.
He calls. Yep.
We hold.
Yes. I think some people have like really bad ranges in the spot where Munson just rarely ever raise folds
Yeah, yeah.
and just jams all his raise folds, basically.
In Munson's shoes, you mean?
Yeah, I feel like he would just jam a lot if he's a reg and not raise fold very often.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think it's
it's.
a.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it's a spot where we should have a decent amount of race folds, but
I think you should have a small amount of raise folds, but I think if you're raise folding like half the time, you're just gonna get destroyed here.
oh yeah, I mean that's a little excessive, but I think there are some hands that we. Well, actually, now that I'm looking at it, we all have about the same stack, and then there's just this one short guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you
Okay.
could. I think I'd raise fold the bottom of my shoving range and like hands close to that are like break even shoves, and then the top basically. So I'd
Mm-hmm.
play the spot.
Yep. Same.
Okay, go ahead.
The worst hand that I would raise call here, I think, would be like for pairs, maybe like eights, nines, and then ace jacks suited or ace queen suited, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. Probably not worth really talking about this one.
Should have aces there.
Should. Well, that wouldn't be worth talking about either.
Yeah.
This is a pretty clear three-bet shove, I think.
Yep. I don't know how often this guy's stealing. I'm. Do you think he has a pretty strong range there? Because that guy only has one big blind.
In the previous hand,
Yeah.
where's the guy who had one big blind?
Small
Oh,
blind.
I see. Yeah. This guy actually, I remember, I think the tournament was from like 2 days ago. This guy actually came back from one big blind and actually went really deep. It was pretty cool to watch. But
How do you think small blind affects his raising range here? Small blind has 10 bigs. Small blind has like 15 bigs versus 1. How does this affect that spot? And I know that's a super hard question.
well, I can answer with the way that I would view it is that I would basically treat small blind as 600 chips of dead money almost, and just like not like basically he's sitting out and there's an extra 600 chips and antes in the pot, and it's only 3 people behind me.
The problem is you have to run. He gets to run his equity versus you every time.
Yeah, true.
And then big blind's going to call way more often. When it goes raise, small blind calls, big blind is going to call way more often because your incentive to bluff is just way less post flop, and he gets to realize equity more too.
Yeah, good points. Very good points.
So it's very tricky, but then again, small blind never gets the three bet shove on you. He gets it in with really bad hands. Your equity is going to be pretty damn good versus him. People will probably be less inclined to bluff you. It's a weird spot. I don't understand the math here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and also it's a spot where we should have a lot more raises and not that many open shoves. I would think, being in the cutoff with deeper stacks,
Mm-hmm.
we shouldn't really maybe even have any open shoves. I mean, this guy may not have any open shoves. The guy that opened.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what hijack should do. but I don't think it's as cut and dried as people think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
instead of like raising, getting the small blind to fold, which you do pretty often at like 15 bigs, like he gets to run his equity every time. So instead of winning 2,600 chips, the small blind probably gets to run like a third of his equity. Gets like a third of the pot every time he calls,
Yeah. True.
which sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I don't know. We'd get 2/3 of the pot conversely, and there'd be 4,400 in the pot. So that's worth quite a bit, though.
I mean, all you really have to do with small blind basically is like he gets to realize give him a range of 100%, and he gets to realize his equity with 100% range for one big blind, which I don't think it really affects things too much. But you made a really good point where big blind is going to flat a lot more often because of the extra dead money in there from small blind.
Yeah. You might get bluff left less often, too. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah,
you just go ahead.
yeah. I mean, I just
It's not a question
shove,
I can solve.
I
Sage.
shove, and fuck you does it.
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah. Um.
Definitely in our raising range.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think it's interesting, like, constructing hands that raise, call the button shove, call the small blind shove, but then fold to the other two. Like, what are good hands to throw into that? What are good candidates to do that with?
Call button and small blind, but fold to the others.
Yeah.
I think maybe like sixes, fives, ace, eight suited.
Yeah. Ace 10
Uh,
off, maybe?
Ace 10 off, yeah. Ace 10 off sounds reasonable. I mean, the problem is a lot of that stuff, I almost rather just open shove anyway. Like, we have 15 bigs.
Would you rather open shove versus the guy on your left when you have ace 10 off? Like,
I think so. I think I might. I think I might rather open shove that.
rather than getting flat in position? Like, looks like it's going to flat you a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it just lets the shorter stacks, I guess, have a wider three betting range rather than they're calling my shove range. Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that would raise call the short stacks but raise fold to the other guys, I would rather open shove anyway.
Okay. It's a good point. I was just trying to look for a way to like lower variance while keeping like the same EV, making more
Yeah.
EV. But getting flatted by that, if that guy on your left is normal, I think the spot changes, in my opinion.
If he's like 22, 18, 5 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the spot changes because you effectively shove versus button and small. When you get it in with ace 10 versus his range on a shove, your equity is like 30%. Like it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's the same for the big blind. When you shove ace 10 off here and get called, your equity versus the big blind is probably around 30%. Because he never calls with hands that you beat, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I think those are pretty good candidates.
Sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of like short stack, like good deep tournament play is finding spots to lower variance without playing like a bitch. Pretty nicely, like still putting chips in the pot, still like getting EV, but lowering your variance at the same time. Because if I'm making, like I said, if I'm making the same amount of money raising with ace 9 off here, same amount of chips versus jamming, like I'm going to like destroy you like in the long run if I'm finding all these spots and you're not.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
And I think it could make you more chips. So
Yeah.
It's hard to know though.
That's
Anyways.
something I've been trying to find spots where I can take like a really low variance play, but at the same time, I'd be perceived to have really strong range. Like, for example, last time I was playing a six max, and it was right on the bubble. It was like two or three players from money. Pretty big field, so it was like a decent min cash, and it was five handed, and big blind was like really short, and but it was a guy who's definitely just never. He's just always folding. He just wants to min cash. He made that really clear by tanking and by what he said in chat.
Yeah.
So it's his big blind, and he has like five or six bigs, and I have 5-6 suited under the gun, five handed, and everyone else is like fairly deep. And I limped under the gun because I thought that it would be perceived as an extremely strong limp, even though I hadn't really been limping, which is actually better for me that I hadn't been limping, I think. So I limp, and button calls, small blind completes, big blind checks. Button's really deep for me, small blind's like 15, 16 bigs, big blind has like 6 bigs, but he just wants to mid cash. Flop is 5 queen X with 2 clubs, and I have like the 5-6 diamonds or something. 10k pot, 11k pot, and I see that like 4 and a 10, just knowing that unless they have like they even have to have like a good queen, like they have to have at least a good top pair to continue, I think. And I know big blind's always folding, even with like queen jack, I could see him folding. And so I just see that pretty small after limping pre, and like everyone just snap folded, and then big blind tank folded because he's trying to run out the clock, even though it's hand for hand. So just like little spots where the dynamic is just so much different than standard.
Yeah. I had an interesting hand on WPN yesterday. We're on the money bubble, and this guy who has like a lot of chips and like pretty high RFI raises in the hijack, and I have 15, 16 bigs in the big blind, and ace deuce off, and like I think that's a pretty cool 3-bet fold spot, which I think most people don't do with that stacked up. But one, I'm not committed to call a jam.
Wait, where did the guy open from? Where?
Hijack.
Hijack. Okay.
And I'm the big blind. So
it
like,
folds to you.
Yeah, so I'm like 3-betting the big stack off of 16 bigs, out of position, like on
what would your sizing be? 3x?
I made it like 2.5-ish or something.
Okay.
Like if I go 3x, like I'm putting in. I might have went 3x actually. I think I did go 3x.
I think if you're gonna 3-bet love there, you almost have to go 3x.
Yeah, I went. He went to 2k. I went to 6666 at 16k.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And
but
go ahead.
If you go, I was just gonna say, like, if you went like 4.5 there, I know I'm never folding anything.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just never getting folds.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ended up folding, and I think it's a cool play because you look committed, but you're actually not. It's like I'm putting in 40%.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And it looks so strong, and he's going to be really wide too with his opens.
Yeah, it's just very hard for him to do anything about it. A different way to do that, if you don't want to be like as crazy, is the bottom of like your reshove range, 3-bet to like that size, and then just call it off, and you'll just get more folds and look a lot stronger. So like if you're ripping, I don't know, queen jacks.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, instead of just being like completely retarded with it, do it with like queen jack suited or something on like the bubble there and call it off if you're ripping, or 6s or 7s or whatever.
Or like your worst offsuit ace that you would shove.
Yeah, I don't know if you're shoving offsuit aces like on the bubble there. I guess like ace 10. Yeah, ace 10, ace jack, call it off.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to like test it out and see how many folds you get instead of like, because I imagine you'd feel like shit doing that for your first time on the money bubble and losing 40% of your stack if you wasn't confident that it worked, you know?
Sure. Yeah. definitely.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool play. Um, I think there's like a lot of spots where it's like people expect you. Like when I have this short stack on the money bubble, I feel like I do better than like when I have like a middle stack or big stack on the money bubble.
What'd you say? You cut out in the middle.
I just feel like I do better with like a short stack on the bubble than a big stack sometimes.
Hmm. Well, I mean, it's easier to play, right? I mean, or let me. I guess, do you feel like it's easier to play a shorter stack?
I just feel like there's spots where people expect you to play really tight, and you can like be really loose and still just fold, and it's not even that high a variance.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. They
Yeah.
expect you. I think people tend to project a ton. Like they expect you to play similarly to how they play the same spot
Hmm.
a lot, and I do that too. Like I'm pretty guilty of that when I range people sometimes. I do it a little incorrectly, and I kind of project like what how I would play the spot.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll call this a session. Um, so yeah, you have some more like principles to work on when constructing your race folding ranges, like we talked about.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can construct better ranges now and do that better. Um, so yeah, I want to do like so the way I want to construct the sessions, I want to like focus on one topic, make progress, move on to something else.
Sure. Sure.
So
Sure.
I want to tackle like range construction with like 12 to 20 bigs again, and go into actual numbers, and then I think would be ready to like move on from 12 to 20 bigs into something else after that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes though. But yeah, I think you should be able to construct better ranges after this session, hopefully, and I think we get like farther and deeper on our next session for like 12 to 20 bigs and made good enough progress so we can move on.
Okay. For the next session, do you want to do at the beginning of this session? You gave me the two options of the hand history or the range construction. Do you want to do the more range construction stuff next time, or?
Yeah, I wanted to do more range construction next time, or we can do a hand history review. I'll give you the choice that day.
Okay, and is this stuff? Do you think this is pretty good? Like just constructing these spreadsheet charts for my ranges in these spots. Do you think that's a good way to do it?
Yeah, I think it's if it's easy for you to pull up in game and reference and check out. Looks like it should be. You might get too many tabs at some point, where like Flopzilla does this better because that's like that drop down box on the left, you know. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. I'll probably just put them on a bunch. Eventually, I'll put them all on one sheet so I can just like scroll through. Like all the small blind stack sizes will be on one sheet.
oh, perfect. Yeah, just
So I
do
can
that.
just kind of like scroll down through them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's visual and pretty. It's nice.
Yeah, I just find it a lot easier to play with than Holder Resources or Flopzilla or whatever because in these you can't look at all the ranges at once. Like I have to look at my raise range and then click over here to look at my up and shove range. With this, I get to see them all in one place. And it's just
Okay.
easy.
And
Yeah.
kind of quickly, can we check your BB per 100, like early stages now? And just see where that's at.
Sure. Yeah. You want to look just over the last few days or like?
The past 2 weeks since like we started coaching.
Okay, so that would be since the 17th, November 17th. Does that sound right?
Let me look. We're on a new month. Yep, November 17th.
Okay.
So I have a 2 week sample. Solid graph, by the way.
Oh yeah, totally. Straight down. Yeah, no, that's just withered U.S. sites that don't report when you win. Whoops.
So it just says you lose automatically.
Yeah, I just lose every single tournament I play.
It's fun.
Yeah. What is going on with this thing? Okay, here we go. And then, do you want 12 to 20 only? 12 to 20 big blinds only?
No, I just want to
Or-
see how you've been doing early stages.
Okay. Early stages. So you want pre-ante?
Yeah.
All right. Turn it. Whoops.
Blinds and antes at the bottom. No ante. So before you were like losing or break even, right?
Yeah. No, I think the break even wasn't that 12 to 20. I don't remember.
Okay.
I thought the break even was 12 to 20, but I'm not sure. It might have been pre-ante too. Where's my BB per 100 here? I know it's on. I thought it was on here somewhere.
You don't have it? That's weird.
Right here. 27 is on adjusted. 25 is actual.
25 and 27, so that's like insane difference, right?
And that's how many hands? Oh wow, that's 6K hands. So that's like a decent number of hands. Yeah.
Yeah, you went from like, I think it was like tops 4 or 5 to like 26, 27.
Well, we could look at it. I can say before date, and it'll do everything before we started.
Okay, cool.
So that'll be kind of cool to see.
If it loads fast enough.
10K hands, 4 and 11 compared to 25 and 27.
Pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. That's huge.
You're the man.
You are too. Thanks
What, baby?
patching up my leaks. Appreciate it.
Alright, dude. I will. Damn, you played a lot of fucking hands in 2
Tell
weeks,
Daddy
dude.
about that.
Yeah, I've been playing tons, man.
Tell him. Uh-oh.
Alright, I gotta go. Good job, man.
All right, thanks. See you Thursday.
Bye.